Hi, I'm Delta Work, and it's time for another episode of Very Delta. It's getting chilly outside, and it's time to cuddle up with drag tease Fena Barbitall. But first, do you want to see me go off? I think you want to see me go off.
Am.
Oh.
Am.
Mom!
Are you a lady like me? Introspective, beautiful. Oh, are you intellectual like me? Beguiled by a bargain? You like wild times? Oh, like me? Are you serving the community like me? Well, if you are, then you must be very Delta. Hi, I'm Delta Work, and this is Very Delta. This is a luxury public access podcast and YouTube talk show where I look beautiful, speak extemporaneously, and invite interesting people to sit on the couch and get very Delta. Very Delta is for the woman who accepts free soap samples outside of Bath and Body stores. Today's show is going to bring the drama, girl. But first, let's get into some things that are very Delta. So here's the thing. It is Thanksgiving week, and we are rolling into a ton of holiday experiences. You're going to be pulled in a lot of directions. You're going to have a lot of expectations put on you, and you're going to have a lot of people to smile with, a lot of babies to kiss, a lot of food to eat, and you have to pace yourself. We have gone through 2 years of the unknown, not really aware of who we're going to see again or how we're going to see them. Outlook has changed. Politically, everything has changed. We don't have time to be uncomfortable anymore. There's no reason. I've talked about it before, and I will talk about it forever. Do not put yourself in situations that make you feel uncomfortable, obligated, make you feel ugly, or make you feel like you have to explain to other people why it is that you live your life the way that you live your life. If you are conducting yourself ethically and you're not hurting anyone, there's nothing more that you need to explain. We're going to be going to parties where people are going to be making off-color jokes that make you uncomfortable or make you realize that situations are very, very real, because as much as they say they're joking, if you can feel that they're coming from a place that's very, very real, stop it. Don't have time for it. Walk away from it. There are people that you're going to encounter that you're not going to be able to change their minds. They're not interested. They're not here for a conversation. Stop. Don't afford them the conversation. You don't have to do it. These holidays are very difficult to get through because there's many people that we have lost, or situations that have changed. You've become a new person. Politically, a lot of people may not be on your side. Stop being on their side. Stop owing them a visit. Stop owing them a present. You don't owe that to them, because if they really, really were earning that, they would have the respect for you and the respect for the people that really matter most to you. These are people that just came through an election and voted against the people that you love, or voted against you. These are people that say, oh, I'm only fiscally conservative, but I love you, or I'm just voting in general because I have to get this way or that way. No. They're going to have to suck it up, and they're going to have to realize that money is changing hands, that opinions are changing across the board. These are things that are scary to have to do, to say, oh, I am no longer politically this way because I realize who I was before was a crock of shit. And they're going to have to realize that. They're going to have to recognize, in order to protect you and the people that you love, they're going to have to make some sacrifices too. So going to these parties, and not just politically, I'm talking about going to these parties also that are just uncomfortable for you. You don't have to buy somebody a present just because they bought you a present. If they bought it out of obligation, why would you return obligation? You should be doing that because you want to, because you like to, because it makes you feel good, or it made you think about them. Going to these places and eating people's food, like, oh, so-and-so always makes this casserole. We have to eat it. I can't stand it. Don't eat it. It's okay. Plenty of other people will eat it. You don't have to put yourself in these situations that seem so scary, so uncomfortable. Honestly, just don't even feel good. This is your time. You should be enjoying the holidays yourself. Maybe you don't celebrate holidays at all. Maybe you just want people to fucking leave you alone. Tell them to leave you alone if that's what you want. You don't have to do what everyone else is doing or what you've always done to continue to get respect from people because they weren't respecting you. They were just looking at you going, "Yeah, you did what I told you to do." Let them respect you. Require that they respect you. You don't have to go up to people and start an argument. You don't have to go you call somebody and say, "I just wanna let you know, I think you're a fucking asshole, and I'm not coming to your parties anymore." Maybe you just don't like the way their parties are. You can make up a white lie. I'm a firm believer that a white lie is not the same as a very, very dangerous lie. Some people say, "Oh, a white lie, it's the same." Lying is lying. I don't believe that. I don't believe that's true. You can save someone else's feelings and your own feelings by creating something that is very realistic and could be a thing. "Sorry, I can't make it because I'm gonna be a little bit late at work. Sorry, I can't make it because I'm not feeling so well. Sorry, I can't." But if you feel so compelled to say, "I'm sorry, I can't make it because I want you to know that all the years that I've been coming to your place or doing what it is that you do, you make me feel very uncomfortable. The conversations that you have are very uncomfortable. The people that you slight makes me feel very uncomfortable, and I just don't like that." And if they come forward and say, "Well, oh, we're just joking," or "We just felt," I've never felt like you were joking. It's okay to tell people that. I've never thought that you were joking. Someone once said something very, very important, and that is that in an argument, when someone says something to you in the heat of an argument, that's what they have been dying to tell you. If somebody says something really shitty to you or something that really cuts you deep, they've been waiting to tell you that. Remember that. Listen to it. Hear them. Absorb it. It's very, very important. So if you tell these people, "You know what? I know who's all going to be there. I just don't think it's for me. I love you so much. I'm not going to be there." If they come back at you with, "No, you have to come. No, you have to do this. No, you have to do that," they're putting an expectation on you and requiring you to be uncomfortable because they feel uncomfortable and they don't want to be the only person who feels uncomfortable at this event. Now, of course, this is a little bit different with, small things where you're like, "Oh, so and so gets on my nerves. I can avoid them at the party." That's different. I'm talking about actual places where people that you're going to go to these events and you've always gone and they have, a Trump hat on their Christmas tree. That's a problem. If that makes you feel uncomfortable, and it should make you feel uncomfortable, that's a problem. People that have to stop whispering when you walk in, that's a problem. Not because they were hiding a Christmas gift, but because you know that they were talking about you and the decisions you make and the things that make you uncomfortable and the fact that you spoke up for yourself. We're not doing that anymore. We're not going to those places. We're not making those people letting those we're not letting those people make us feel bad. For what? Why? What are we getting out of it? You're giving the power to someone else. Yes, we have obligation, family obligations, work obligations, things that'll make it easier for you. Of course, those are going to happen. I'm not saying across the board, put your middle finger up at everybody and tell everyone to fuck off if, there's not enough Gouda cheese at the party. I'm not saying that. I'm saying if it makes you in your heart of hearts feel uncomfortable, if it requires you to be someone else, if it makes you not say the truth, if you have to fix your plate a different way and be sick because you didn't want to hurt someone's feelings because they made something and you're supposed to eat it, don't do that. Don't do that. No one should have that power over you, and you're giving them that power. You're allowing them to do it. You don't have to do it. You can create your own spaces. You can create your own festivities. You can create your own environment, or you can say straight up, "I don't celebrate any of this." Maybe you don't, and that's okay. Maybe other people do, and that's important for them. Maybe you want to do half of it. You can do half of it. But by no means should you be going anywhere, eating anything, buying anything, spending any money because everyone always expected you to do it because you always did it. If it's uncomfortable for you, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it. Don't give anyone that power. And you know what? Sometimes the food is really shitty. Sometimes the wine is cheap. Sometimes the presents suck. Sometimes you just don't want to be there. Maybe you just don't want to be there this time, but maybe you want to go to another event. That's okay too. This doesn't have to be across the board. It doesn't have to be, you have to stand up for yourself at some point. And it's okay to say, "You know what? I don't have the strength to do this all in one just because you said to do it because that's what you do." You can maybe just set a little bit of a barrier for yourself. Just, set your foot down, put a line in the sand and say, "What I'm not going to do is go to so and so's house because that's the thing that I was dreading the most." Or what I'm not going to do is get myself in debt to show people how much I love them. I want them to know that I love them so much. I don't care if it's $3 or $300 for the gift. If you don't have the $3, stop faking the funk that you do have it so that everybody else is impressed that you showed up with a bag full of presents. Baby, there's no Santa Claus and you're not Santa Claus either. So fuck it. And you don't have to explain yourself. I mean, across the board, if you feel like you need to have this conversation to stop something with someone and say, I don't want to have any part of you anymore, that's not a holiday conversation. That's just in general, this isn't going to work. But you really don't owe it to anyone to explain anything. I'm not coming because I'm not coming. I won't be there because I won't be there. If they continue to ask those questions, they're pushing you into saying yes. They're forcing you to say, I want you to live your life the way I live my life. You're forced to do what I do because it makes me more comfortable. I don't give a shit about how comfortable you are. Don't let them do it. You don't owe them an explanation. And if you have friends or family or coworkers or a boss or anyone that keeps prodding, well, come on, this is going to be this way. It's going to be that way. I want you here. You have to do this. It would mean so much to us if you would do this. They're more concerned about what it would mean to them, not what the experience would mean to you. They're not concerned whatsoever. If they keep prodding you and if they keep calling you and they keep telling you, you have to do this. We've always done this. This is the way it's always been. Those words from people, this is the way it's always been, is what makes everyone feel uncomfortable. You deserve to have whatever you want. If you want to eat Jack in the Box in the morning on Christmas Day, then that's what you want to do. If you want to give out everybody a tube of lipstick in your favorite color, that's what you want to do. If you want to tell somebody, thank you, I'd like to sing a song for you as a gift, then that's what you want to do. But don't let anyone keep prodding you and pushing you and telling you this is the way it has to be because you're going to be mean to me if you don't come. My wife cooked this. Your niece needs this. But what about what you need? You need to make sure that there's something in that conversation about how you're going to be comfortable in this. Again, there are things that we are obligated to do because it makes it easier. Maybe you want to go to your boss's party because you're looking for a promotion and you want them to know you're a team player in a way. And you're like, it's a simple trade-off. It's not that I really want to go that much, but work is work. But if you're going to go into like a pit of snakes where people are doing nothing but talking about you and then going, oh, hi, and giving you little smiles and a little nod here and there, they're placating you. They don't like you. Why in the world would you force yourself to be around people like that? I've done it. I know. The holidays are a perfect time for you to reevaluate all of these things and find out what's important to you. You should create what makes you happy. Create the meals, the spaces, the people, the circle of family and friends. And oftentimes that means just a few from this group and just a few from this group and just something from this meal plan and this, whatever it is, it needs to be something that you curate, that you cultivate, that you make your own, because that is when you're going to know everything about it. You shouldn't be in a room where you have to back up against a wall and look at everyone in there. You should be able to be in the center of the room and know that everything happening around you is enriching you, making you feel good, making you feel included, making you feel special. Like you can eat whatever you want and that person's not looking at you, or you can gift this gift to this person without this person saying, "Where's mine?" All of these things are so important. You can cultivate these things. You can curate these things. It's going to take time, but you've got nothing but time. And coming up, we have our extra special guest, the one and only Fena Barbitall. But first, do you want to see me take a break? I think you want to see me take a break. And we are back. Thank you for joining us. Today's extra special guest is somebody I'm so excited to have here. This person is a legend, a beauty operator, a beauty guru. I'm talking about the legendary, the one and only Fena Barbitall is here. And you are a beauty operator.
You know what? I am. And that's very dangerous because I don't have a license.
Right. You don't have to have one. Not in
not
this industry.
Really, do you?
Well, you do. I mean, I guess if you want to be union, it matters. But what does that have to do with anything?
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah.
All those fees.
Yeah, and we tried, and they just
so
don't allow
expensive.
us.
Forget that.
What is phenobarbital? Have you had phenobarbital?
So, phenobarbital. I don't do drugs anymore. I'm I'm not in meetings or anything weird like that. I just don't.
Right.
But Fena Barbitall is a barbiturate, and they give it to people that have seizures or animals sometimes.
Mhm.
It's like a mellower, for
Mhm.
something crazy that's happening.
When was the last time you had a seizure?
I don't know. I've never been to Santa Barbara.
Well, see, that's the difference between the two of us. One of the main differences is that you like being around people.
Oh, in my final moments, like
Right.
I'm pushing them out the door.
Right.
I want to make sure that I hit the ground
I'm a hermit.
or the building at full force. Take me.
Right. I'm a hermit, and you know this. And it's so weird because because of the work that you do, you're around so many different types of like red carpet events and things that you're invited to or you need to help prepare for. So you because you do legitimately like being around people and you love meeting new people, but you also have to sort of train yourself to be in that environment as well because there's a lot of bullshit and you're like, I'm working, either you're representing yourself or you're helping represent other people because you work with Trixie and Katya or
Mhm,
have
mhm,
extensively. Tell us
mhm.
about that.
Well, it's something I kind of fell into. It never was like really meant to be, and then it just kind of happened. And I make no apologies for myself, the size of my body. Being a bigger person in a situation where you're like surrounded by like in a small recording studio or TV studio or things like that, it can be very difficult. That's
Mhm.
why whenever you see the Kardashians on a red carpet, they're followed by a string of skeletons that are helping with their hair and makeup.
Right.
Whereas, like, you can also attest to this being in a situation like that, where you feel like uncomfortable taking up any space,
Right.
you just can't help it. So I had to get to a point where I was just like, you know what? Whatever. This is
Yeah.
me.
It doesn't
And
matter.
this is what happens. But I feel more comfortable in those situations now because put my nose to the grind and I did the work, and I feel like, people respected that, and that's just,
Right.
the work speaks for itself or it doesn't.
It does. It does. And some of the work that you do, I mean, you do wigs, you
Yeah.
do.
I started the first time I ever teased a wig, I was like a little baby gay,
Mhm.
and I had a wig from Party City, and it was an afro wig, let's just be real. Well, not an afro wig. It was like a long curly lioness. And I remember
Mhm.
teasing it into a giant ball. And I don't know, from there it kind of took off. I never went to school. I kind of wish I did go to school for it. But yeah, getting into the wig stuff, Katya was the one that was like, she always noticed that I would style my own wigs or kind of like do something to them. So when we first moved here, she was like, "Oh, I have all these things. Can you just, do something with these bags of wigs?" And it
Right.
just kind of happened.
Right. And now, because of that, now your position.
Yeah, and now I style wigs for local queens. That's really nice. I like doing that. I've worked with other people from, other TV stuff. I just did a wig for Christina Aguilera's stylist. And
Nice.
it was like he like took a photo. He went to Christina's Halloween party, and it's like him dressed as her from Moulin Rouge. And she's like behind him. And I'm like, I never imagined, because when I first started doing drag, Moulin Rouge had like just come out.
Mhm.
And I could never imagine that like I would have something of mine in the same photo,
Right.
even with such a legend.
Right.
Like things like that. Every time, like, do you ever get that? Like, whenever something big like that happens for you,
Yeah.
you kind of like, little gay you is kind of like, how did that even?
And you try to like it's like for lack of a better word, it's like you kind of want to brag about it because you're like, this is cool. Like I
Yeah.
want people to know that I'm grateful for this, but that like I did that. Like I fucking did that. That's so fun. That's so cool. And even like, maybe like Flashback Friday or Throwback Thursday, Way Back Wednesday. Those are all places where like you can bring it back up into a conversation. And even though I think like, oh, people might be like, girl, you already told us this a year ago. But then there's other people that missed that. And they're
Right.
like,
New
I
people.
didn't know you did that. And then it also reignites that in the eyes of other people that might be interested in utilizing your skills because they didn't know you did that.
Yeah. I feel like you're someone who I could see doing a Kevin Aquan style book of
That's
like
fun.
your beauty tips, your hair, your accessorizing, your like everything. Like, you know what I mean? Like an all over beauty book. I could definitely see that for
I would
you.
love that. Well, we could actually do that together because you have a channel, you have a show that you do
On YouTube. Yes.
well, that's where this show is.
Yes.
And that's what we do. But you share some of these ideas, the things that are um people need answers to. People want to know, but they also want it from a real place.
I started this YouTube channel. Basically it was baking in my brain about a year ago. And that's when I decided to uh not really push myself to be on tour with the girls anymore
Mhm.
and kind of do my own thing.
Yeah.
And so I was talking to my friend Steven, who actually does all the editing. And, I just brainstormed and figured out what kind of videos I want to do. So there's like, makeup, hair, crafting, and then like opinion piece.
Right.
And none of it is meant to be like, oh, well, you've been doing this wrong all the time. It's
At
not,
all. It doesn't come off like that.
and for me, that's fine. Like yeah, sure, I can, do that or whatever. But mine came from a place of a lot of tutorials that I was watching when I first started were very intimidating. And my approach is like, drag for idiots, like those books,
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
something for idiots. And it's all supposed to be fun and just no pressure.
Right.
That's why we're doing short little videos like how to put a wig into a ponytail, not anything else, how to cut bangs into the wig, how to, put eyeliner on, how to put a lash on, things like that, little short clips. And I've kind of like through that process, like, you've done like shows and put yourself out there on Instagram Live all the time. Once you like kind of watch it back and you can like stew on it and realize what you really want to do
Sure.
in the future.
Sure. That's good advice. I mean, I always tell people like I have a hard time watching myself because I'll get caught up critiquing the things that maybe are not anything that other people are concerned about. They're concerned about the content and that should be the concern. But then there's some other times I'm like, why wasn't this bottle here? It's over here. Or why wasn't this eyelash that, you know what I mean? But we're
Yeah.
human. I mean, nothing
Mhm.
is perfect.
I always, the funny part for me is like watching it back. I feel like in the moment, like I'm screaming.
Mhm.
And then I watch it back and I'm like,
Right,
I'm
right.
I'm like, God. And then I get one of the number one comments is like, you have such a soothing voice. You'd be great for podcasting. And I'm like, oh, so I don't have the face for YouTube.
Damn.
You have the face for
Damn.
podcasting, which, I take a compliment wherever I
Yeah.
can get it.
Well, listen, they're the ones watching you, so
Exactly,
I mean, they
and-
must love it. Plenty of people do.
They probably just don't notice,
Yeah.
because they can't see my legs.
Damn. They can
But-
see your boobs.
But I was always so inspired because whenever like during like the dark ages when you were always on Instagram Live like doing something every day, that's a commitment.
It was fun, but there was like nothing else to do.
Yeah. And I was like, if this bitch can fucking muster herself in front of that camera every fucking day, there's
fun.
no excuse for like anyone else,
It was a great place to like sort of learn, I think, like what else we're capable of. I mean, I definitely love a package that's just like there because then
the vignette.
because you're more comfortable, like, you know what I mean? And so then with that said, you're able to then control. Like I always had my camera. I always say this to people, like I see my clips and I'm like, wow, I had people fooled for a long time that I had one chin because that Instagram Live camera was here. And I'm like, hi, everyone. How are you? And it's like that. And then now like the clips come out and I'm like, I'm so mad at Wendy's. I'm so fucking pissed off. Did you guys see my pumpkins? And it's like this. And people are like, oh, well, no, we still love you. But
you got to get Davey to come in here and grab you from either side.
Right. Right. I think that all the time because, you look at something different and you're like, well, you know what?
Yeah.
There's only, I mean, we both have worked extensively, I would say, with different sort of celebrities, helping them prepare to look great in front of the camera. But when you're the person that like you have to create the content and then try to
Oh,
make yourself look great.
oh,
I
girl.
used to think that as a kid, like you would watch like news reporters. I always wanted to be a news reporter when I was a kid. So I would see them like out in the trenches, and then you get these storylines of people like, well, they have to brush their own hair, or they have to fluff themselves up, or whatever it is they have to do to make themselves look as presentable as possible. And when we're doing that, again, in any of these
Yeah,
spaces that we do that, we're like, well, I mean, this is as good as it's gonna get. I promise you, if I was doing it for someone else, like I would know. You know what I
exactly.
mean? When you're doing Trixie, Katya, RuPaul, whoever you're doing, you know, like, okay, I've got a monitor, walk back. But
I
there's
I have a question though. So when I'm doing like Queens I Like to Watch for Netflix or one of my main jobs, like Katya is so easy. Like, I kind of go in and you'll see me in videos like shellac her down
uh-huh.
and she kind of stays like a wax figure
Yeah.
for an hour until it all falls apart. And then for Trixie, I'm literally in the monitor and then like kind of looking at her because she has all that black on her eye and it creases.
Of course.
So the one thing that like her like a big note is like if it's creases, we have to stop cameras. And I go in and look. Did you have anything like that when you were doing?
Yeah, we did. Like there was I mean, there was always the conversation about the fact that like um the supermodel likes her wig pulled very, very far back because she believes that, or explained to us, that the bigger her forehead looked, the more youthful that the appearance was. I didn't understand that philosophy, but I knew that that's the way it had to be. So oftentimes we would say, like, it looks very far back. And it was like, nope, that's how I like it. That's how it's going to be. And then, of course, people on the internet would be like, why is the wig so far back? And it's like, you have to understand
Yeah.
these are the confines that you work in.
Yeah.
Same thing with like, face tapes or anything like that any of us use or don't use. When any of that starts to slip,
Mama.
production stops
Yeah.
immediately because you are trying to respect the dignity of the person who,
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, it's your job, but at the same time, you're like, this is another queen. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want people to make fun of them or think they look like shit. That's not their fault that things are moving. It's hot, that kind of thing. So yeah, that stuff does happen.
That's what making these programs is. And like a lot of the times, the fans don't understand certain things because they've never been on a set. They've never
Right.
worked in production. They don't know. And that's totally fine.
Sure.
That's not for them to understand. Like this is all a fantasy for them as far as they're concerned. We are on a CBS lot in, Times Square. And on the
Right.
other side of this curtain, there's 100 million fans and they're all just showing you their breasts.
And there's just unlimited amounts of like,
There's a Diet Coke fountain over there. There is I know we have a Wendy's in the back. I know you
sure,
were
of
complaining about
course.
it, but I think they were
Yeah.
doing the best they.
Yeah, for sure. But no, I mean, when you say that, I think about the idea that um there's so many as far as entertainment goes, there's the talent, but then there's also the creative end of something,
Mhm.
and then there's the post end. So many times people go, oh, they'll get this in post, and it's like you have to handle as much as you can in the creative end so that the people in the post don't. But then sometimes if something slips through, or the person in charge sees something, they're like, oh, just put this filter or that filter, it may forgive this, but then it amplifies that.
Right.
And you're like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't work in that department, but they don't work in your department. So,
Yeah, and sometimes, like you said, you will stop rolling if a lace is really dark or
uh-huh.
this or that. And it does take time and kind of when you're like the department head, which they like gave me that title for the Netflix show,
Right.
Department Head Vanities, which was like huge, that's a big
Massive.
flattering thing. And like then the pressure is all on you.
Sure.
So something in the vanities is off, it's on you. So it kind of I like it because it kind of excites me into like doing better. But it is a lot of pressure, especially when you're given only a certain allotted amount of
Yeah.
time. And sometimes if the building's on fire, I'm just gonna rescue the hottest one, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I know. Actually, can you hold on for just 1 second? Ooh, it's the look. The very Delta look. Feel the glamour. Feel the mystery. It's in the details. Ooh, beautiful. Oh, yeah? Ooh, it's very Delta. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And it goes right back to my show, like on YouTube. Like, I'm not showing you all of the secrets.
Mhm.
I'm showing you some of them. And I feel like I didn't want to, blow my whole wad on the first, you know,
Mm.
group of episodes. But I did feel like I dove into some behind the scenes like tips and also some like drag secrets.
I
And
like that.
one of the things, or a couple of the things that I did, I actually brought you something
Oh, okay.
from the show.
Okay.
And I know this is really, it is what it is, but these are like drag queen tropes. One of them is a beautiful bracelet
Oh,
made
yes.
on a roll of scotch
This
tape.
is ideal.
And I know people that are like, oh, well, this doesn't fit my hand. Bitch, you put it in your hair, ponytail.
Yep.
You pull like a ponytail wig through it. You can
Yep.
like something. So
Thank
this is for you.
you.
And a signature piece of mine. I've put these in wigs for Katya before, and I get a lot of comments on them. But I brought you your own shitty birdhouse with a
Oh,
clip.
I can wear this. I'm going to wear this for Christmas.
So it's a birdhouse covered in fake bird shit and bird poop. I don't know if
I
we can say
love
that on the internet.
this.
And yeah,
How did you craft that? What is that? Is it like a resin or something?
it's just it's hot
You
glue.
shit on it, actually.
Yeah, I left it out in the woods, and
Uh-huh.
nature took its course. And
Does a
yeah,
bear shit in the woods?
I don't. You taste that?
I remember
You
when a
taste
bear.
that?
I remember when a bear shit in the club.
Oh
It was
God.
on Bear Night at Hamburger Mary's.
They have a bear night.
They used to at the old Mary's.
Oh
I know we should get into that. Let's take a break.
yeah.
I want to look at these. And we're back. We are back with my extra special guest, Fena Barbitall, who is the absolute doll, so glamorous all the time, teaches people how to be glamorous or at least incorporate new tricks
Mm-hmm.
into glamour. It's the season. It's the season of giving thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Some people celebrate the holidays. Some people just celebrate the season. Some people don't do any of it.
Yeah.
I love the colors. It's my favorite time of year, just because it leads into I feel like the beginning is Halloween, of course.
Would you say it leaves into?
It leaves into it.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid.
Yes.
But I want to know, we have a segment called Ya Scored. Ya Scored. Can you say that?
Yeah, scored.
Which of these gourds here is your favorite?
Can I touch?
You can touch anything. You can touch it
Okay.
all.
Okay.
Pull them off. Oh, yeah. I've been waiting for someone to pick that.
No, but see, you're thinking about it wrong. I'm thinking that's a handle.
Oh, that's a piece of chicken.
This is a chicken bone. It's a weapon. It is I mean, you see the ridges?
Right.
Do you see this?
It's pleasure for her as well.
It feels like very early seasons of Drag Race,
Oh, yeah,
skin
skin.
textures. One time I gave Katya a facial.
With cosmetics or
No.
no, you didn't have none of those were involved. How would you smooth that out, do you think, with cosmetics?
Oh, so have you ever had fillers or anything?
No, but I need to. Don't tell me.
I'm obsessed. I'm
Okay.
now obsessed. It's now
What have you had done?
So I've had my lips done a few times because
You don't say.
my family has a receding lip line.
Okay.
So we're white. So it just like crawls back inside.
You don't say.
And so you just have to, if I want to do it for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had, Botox and all that crazy stuff. And then I actually last year had filler put under my eyes.
See, that's what I want.
Mama.
Was it painful?
No.
Lies.
She held the mirror up, and I watched as she did one, and I saw the difference, and I was blown away. And I had done too little for it to be like a huge notice.
Uh-huh.
But I think that's like it's the Madonna, like, smooth baby cat face. Love that.
So when you had it done, what was the like? What did you notice? And you said, "I'm gonna have that fixed." Was it like dark, or was it sunken in, or was it?
Now, when I sat in her chair, I said, what do you think?
Mhm.
Give me your input. And she wasn't a pusher, and I liked that. And it took like 3 or
She
4
gave you sunglasses and a face mask.
She said, we'll just knock
Right.
it all down.
Right.
Have you tried, oh, we can't say that.
You just turned your wig around.
Yeah. Dina, we're going to turn the wig around. She said, well, this has been a big improvement with people. They love doing it and they see a huge difference. And she was right. I mean, there's something about it. You don't even really notice. You don't even know. I didn't even know it was a thing until she said it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I had it done, I was like, oh, bitch. The makeup sits better.
Ooh, okay.
I love it because it's the little things,
Mhm.
I could go to the gym more and I could do other things to this is my other joke. I always would joke with her. I'd be like, so I know from the neck down, that's a whole different story. But from the neck up,
Right.
what can we do with these?
What can we do
cosmetics?
today? Right.
What can I have that's like
I don't want
immediate?
like a long term.
Yeah, exactly. So if I was to sit this down in a chair, I feel like it would be like some Juvederm filler and just smooth it out.
Okay.
Then you take some sandpaper and you buff.
Okay.
And then you do, what do they do? The ramen noodles with the nail glue.
Uh-huh.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, I
How
have.
they put ramen noodles and everything. Cover it in ramen noodles and sand and nail glue, and then forget about it. And then that's it.
That's it.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter. Because you know what? It's just a gourd.
Yes, gourd.
Yes, gourd.
Yes, gourd.
Yes, gourd.
Do you eat gourds? Do you eat like pumpkin? Do you like stuff like that?
This year was the first time that I was able to partake in a pumpkin spice anything and it not upset
Really?
my stomach.
Okay.
Did you ever have a problem with pumpkin spice upsetting your stomach?
Well, I mean, whenever anyone asks me about stuff that agrees with me or disagrees with me, I explain to them that I ate soup and salad in a restaurant and shit all over the place. So, I mean, no matter what, yes, everything at some point has bothered me, but I've never gone to the doctor or figured out exactly what is the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
I just do it all and just hope for the best. And sometimes I'm pulling over to go to the bathroom where there's no bathroom. And I'm like, please, please. Can I please use your restroom? You don't want this to happen.
Well, I'm from the Northeast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Massachusetts, where
You
where the pilgrims, where the pilgrims are from.
Uh-huh.
I've seen Plymouth Rock, and I wasn't impressed. But
You weren't.
I feel like that is the land in which pumpkin spice was birthed.
Okay.
I am related to. I'm a direct descendant of the captain of the guard from the Mayflower. His name was Miles Standish.
Okay,
My middle name is.
You'll leave this set immediately.
That's not a proud thing in my family, but we were made part of the Mayflower Society when I was a child.
Wow. Now, what does that mean?
You get a certificate, and it's basically just confirms that you are a horrible, evil, awful, murderous.
How do
white
I get
devil.
one?
Well, I think you received one after
working on RuPaul's Drag Race.
I was gonna say, it's the same thing, right? You worked on the Pinto Santa Maria or the.
It was the same kind of architecture, and it was just as old. Yeah. Yeah. What? Is that wrong?
It's so hard because you just make me laugh.
Well, you make me laugh, but I mean, these are truths. That's why sometimes it's hard for us to even laugh at stuff because we're like, yeah, that's true. It's so fucking true.
All you can do is laugh.
Yeah.
That's all we have left.
It is all we have left.
Except for pumpkin.
Except for pumpkin.
I'll eat that fucking pumpkin pie. I will eat that, that pumpkin pancake. I will eat that pumpkin.
What is that? What if you had to have one pumpkin thing? Would it be a pumpkin drink or a pumpkin dessert?
I'm a classic pumpkin pie person.
Yeah.
It to me, it's not the holidays without it.
Whipped cream or ice cream?
See, we were like a Cool Whip family.
Yeah.
It just has to be the Cool Whip, but I'm not opposed. That's the thing.
Right.
Sure, I'll have my, whatever's there. Honestly,
have you ever bit Cool Whip like a spoonful and put it in your mouth and then got your tongue and went and pressed it between your teeth? Have you ever done that?
Uh,
I did that for breakfast today. Like I don't even
no, but
need
have you ever taken the Cool Whip? Oh God, this is so.
and put it on the gourd and got the ridges and smoothed it out.
I am not ashamed to admit that I've definitely done a scoop of Cool Whip
Okay.
and then, or no, I dip the spoon into the peanut butter
Oh, and then Cool Whip.
and then Cool
I
Whip.
don't think I've done that. I'm not opposed to it.
It is a cute, like if you're like, you know, end of the night and you're like, I want something sweet or a little snack.
Uh-huh.
I will go for a scoop of peanut butter.
Okay.
And if I'm really feeling it, I'll put some like chocolate chips on there.
Have
And if
you
I'm
meal
real-
prepped with that? Like, because that's a thing. You can meal prep and you can have that ready to go. And it's like, it saves money. It's like,
If you ask me,
I don't know what your diet is, but
my life is a banquet.
I don't know what my diet is either.
Diet. I hate diet.
Really?
I hate diet because it immediately in my head screams, that's not gonna work.
That's not, yeah, I know what you mean.
That's
not
not
gonna
your
work.
solution.
Yeah.
Like I feel like diet is just so, it's something. Were you a chubby kid?
I was when I got like maybe this is a very like TMI, but I don't really care. I think it was like maybe around when my mom married my stepdad and
Mhm.
things were very weird.
Mhm.
That's when I definitely started to pick up weight, and that was like just as like a preteen. But as a little kid, I was very skinny.
I think similar when my parents separated. That's
Mhm.
when that's when the weight came on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where, you know, when you're like a chubby kid, you like learn these things, like especially growing up in like the 80s and 90s,
Mhm.
like all about diet, all about fitness, the
Oh, the 80s and
workouts.
90s for sure.
Like that shit was incredible.
High voltage.
Exactly.
Energy up. Woo!
Exactly.
I had to check my teeth because I thought there was like a chunk of lipstick sitting. You ever have that?
A chunk of lipstick.
Like just because I always have crumbs in the corner of my mouth.
Oh.
And so I'm always like scooting it in, and then like I just figure it'll like assimilate into the rest of the lip, but it doesn't. It just like sits there, and I'm
Do
like,
you-
"Hi everyone," and there's just like a full tooth missing. It
Do you
looks
ever
like
do the
I do, but then I'm like, where do I wipe? Like, where do I put it? You can. No one's gonna see it. This is one of those like wonderful weaving world of the wizards show that you do. What's it called? Wonderful Wizards of Waverly Place. Wonderful Wigs of Weena Barbitall. Weenie Barbitall.
Listen, the names were put through like I want to say about 40 to 50.
Wait, what just happened right now? Like the wig? Because it went like, it came like all the way forward and then went back.
Sometimes,
But it's right in place. Nothing's moved. It's just.
well, I wish I could clone myself so I can.
Do you want to use my letter opener if your hair ever itches or you want to lift it? That's what I do. You can use that. Yeah. I know. Trust me. 20 more minutes we'll be done and we'll be dead.
Ugh. Do you ever feel like when you get into drag, like during the pandemic, getting into drag, it was, I feel like I had to make it a whole day a thing, make it last.
Right.
Because you're putting all the crap on. Like, come on. Like, I'm not going to put all this crap on and then do one thing. Like, later today, I'm probably going to go home and, like, I don't know, do something.
Right.
I don't know,
Make
some
something
sort
or a
of- some
video
sort of-
saying come see me or
Yeah,
something.
I have to start making a video because yesterday, guess what was announced?
What?
The auditions.
And how many times have you auditioned before?
Is it embarrassing?
No. What you say, it's not embarrassing. Not to me.
11.
Yeah. I know other people that have done it that many times too, and you know the people I'm talking about too.
And it's at some point, so I wasn't going to.
Mhm.
Last year was going to be my last time. And this is a very real moment, but my friend Andrew passed away.
Okay.
And the last things that we talked about, he was always encouraging me to never stop auditioning. And he encouraged me for years that like before he passed, I finally like told him, I was like, agreed I was going to do this thing. And that thing is I'm going to get a life affirming surgery
Okay.
next year.
Okay.
And I just feel like I feel like I owe it to him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I will continue to do it. And you know what? I will continue to drag out that same tired, Britney Spears impersonation. I'm
You
just kidding.
have
I'm just
to.
kidding.
You have to. He needs it. It's
Yeah.
for him. Would you in your video, would you ever have a need for a tube top?
Well, there is a portion of the video where you should model said looks that you've featured
Mhm.
before.
Mhm.
And I feel like there's always going to be a place in my life for something that is very tight
Mhm.
on the bottom and then has the potential to,
They do a challenge called a 2-in-1.
yes.
2-in-1. And we discovered that you do have that in your wardrobe. You have a few items like that. We were at Hamburger Mary's one night in Long Beach, and we were sitting on that patio, which is really where the show happens. But we were hanging out, and I remember we would like do the show, and then we would go change into just like a little something, a
Yeah.
cocktail dress or
Yeah.
whatever.
My
And we
Forever 21
yeah.
special. Yeah.
And we go sit on the patio. And I remember I was seated and you came out and I said, "Oh, I saved you a spot over here." And you came over to that spot and you like looked fantastic and sat down next to me, and we were in sort of like a long bench and the tables were in front of us, and you sat down, and I remember it, I heard it before I saw it. And it's happened to me, that's why I knew.
Oh, yeah.
I heard it before I saw it. She sat down and all I heard was and I realized, and I looked at you, and I could just see you there, and you had on a tube top. And I said, "Fena, what happened?" You said, "I guess I'm wearing a tube top, not a tube dress anymore." And where was it? It
Sometimes
was here.
sometimes it just, when you've got too much, see, my weight is weird. It distributes differently depending on if I'm sitting or standing.
Right. Oh, yes, I
You
understand.
know what I mean? Like sitting down, I'm giving Gilbert Grape's mom.
Right.
Standing up, it could be,
Anything.
Gilbert Grape's mom
In a tube top.
after she died.
Right.
But sometimes you're wearing something very tight and it doesn't, fit you exactly right, which, Forever 21, God bless your soul, but you're not making,
No.
items for glamazons.
No.
And sometimes when you sit down, that item will start to roll. And I feel like this is a real world problem for
Yeah.
women with childbearing hips that can never birth a
Yeah.
child.
Those are Mayflower
Exactly.
compact.
I am made from old-fashioned
Right.
Pilgrim White Devil stock.
Right. And it happens. And so I remember I said, "Well, what are you we'll just get up and I'll fix it." And you were like, "I'm not leaving this spot until everyone leaves the club." So we sat there. We sat there, and that was just the way it was going to be.
Which has never been a problem before.
No,
No. That's something, oh God, I haven't been there in so long and I miss that so much. And every time I think about like, oh, I should call and throw my name back in the ring for like bookings and stuff. And then like, I don't know, my brain, it just like never
Well, I
remembers to
mean,
like fucking do it.
yeah, but at the same time, it's like when you're constantly like, I feel like, and again, I always say the pandemic, but coming out of the pandemic, then we realize that we're doing other things that like, that's our new pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's our new pattern, it's like, well, how do I jump back into that and do this pattern?
Yeah.
Because that's something interesting for both of us, is that we have worked on shows or where we are a person that's helping create in the creative end, whether and it's specifically hair and makeup, but also you've done wardrobe stuff. And then we're also entertainers. So you have your name as an entertainer, but then your name as somebody who works behind the scenes. It's hard to live a life in front and behind and then have people think that you're doing them both 100% when you know you are.
Yeah.
But they're like, well, which one's more important?
Well, that was my thing when I worked for Mac. I worked there for 13 years and it was always the balance of like doing drag and also like working there. Like I could have gone on to do, amazing things and been a really high up, but I just, drag for me was my passion. It was what I loved to do. It made more money. And like right now, working behind the scenes, that really like pays my lifestyle.
Right.
If I could make that with drag, which I love doing, I would absolutely do both. Like, so, I mean, that's constantly why I do throw my name back in the ring for, whatever shows or whatever, because that's what led to the creation of my YouTube.
Right.
Was I couldn't sit around and wait for someone to come and discover me. I had to do it. And just, I'm not getting any younger.
Right.
And for fuck's sake, drag is all fucking toddlers and tiaras now. And I kind of feel like I will continue to like shove myself down their throat
You have
until
to.
until they swallow.
You have to, because they will.
They have to at some point. Like every time I start my tape with like, yes, I'm back, motherfucker, because I know you remember my face, I know you remember my name, and yes, I've gained weight over these past 11 years. I've literally, my body has like, grown, and I always say, listen, got to get me on now before I get any bigger, because
Shut up. Fucking
I could
idiot.
just use different kinds of cameras. But I'm like, fuck, bitch, like I don't like. Ugh, it's the only thing that, and it's hard because you have to have something like that to be able to really do what I do.
The
You know what I
vehicle
mean?
is
Because I
important.
can't. I'm not a live singer, and I'm not a gymnastics dancer.
Right.
So like to do what I do, which is what I consider classic drag,
Right.
you kind of need these things to propel you. So it's that like, and it's like when I lived in Boston, and I've been doing drag for 20 years. This September was 20 years.
Wow.
I always would see on Facebook like you and Chad Michaels and like Mayhem and like all the girls here on the West Coast, and I always felt like such a sisterhood,
Mhm.
even though we had never met, never spoke. And I always be like, oh, I feel like a kindred spirit,
Right.
because we were all trying to do the same thing, and it was before it really exploded. And then moving here and getting to meet all of you was like, oh, it is like a kindred spirit,
I
and
love
they
that.
do fucking get it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, if all drag, like I said, if all drag is valid, we hear that all drag is valid. Come on, Drag Race, come on, Drag. If it is all valid, then the classic drag has to be valid too. Like we can't be like, oh, you're old school. Well, maybe we are old school, but what's wrong with like
I
what's
want
wrong
to,
with
yeah.
finishing your hands with nails and putting perfume on and putting together a cohesive something? Like that has to be validated too.
I want to see the uggos.
Yeah.
I want to see the oldies, the gargoyles, the uggos, the chubbos. I want to see all of that
And you
on my
check off all
TV.
those
I
boxes, and
really do.
I just don't understand why they don't know.
Well,
Let's take a break.
maybe.
Let's take a break. We are back with my extra special guest, Fena Barbitall. We are talking about all of it, talking about glamour and shit birdhouses. I don't know if you saw that, but I got this, which is going to be going in my hair for Christmas. And I will be wearing this at Christmas because I do not have any AB bracelets, if you can believe that or not.
Oh, mama. Ugh.
I don't.
Neither did I. And that's why those were like,
And this is
ding.
gorgeous. I mean, this is done so well. Thank you for my gifts.
Yeah.
This is the part of the podcast where we open letters. We call this Read Me Delta. If you would like to have one of your letters read here on the podcast, you can send an email to readmedelta@gmail.com. We'll take your questions, your queries, your comments. I don't know, maybe if you have a picture or a gift card. We've had it all come through here. Yeah, and
Oh.
some of these letters come in very unusual ways. I always think they're going to be like, typed out, but sometimes people handwrite them. Sometimes you'll see. Let's get this first letter out. And we're going to answer these together as succinctly as possible, or, we can be full of shit too.
Let me put my psychiatrist hat on.
Yes. I feel like that letter opener should be opening this like more smoothly than that.
I can't see it through Jurassic Park here.
Yeah, you can. I know it's all out. All the stuff is out.
It's incredible.
I love all these like still life things. I think they're just.
It is a perfect vignette. You literally have set up your Instagram live like as a desk. It's it reminds me of the Rosie O'Donnell show.
The Rosie O'Donnell
Yeah.
show. That's what I was going for.
Where's your fucking cooch?
My cooch. Okay. Hello, Delta and Fena. This time of year is sometimes difficult for me because of my complicated relationship with conservative family members. However, I've come to love it because my partner and I have leaned into making our own traditions, and we're always looking to add more. Do you have any unique holiday traditions that you can share with us? Love ya, Flapjack.
Flapjack.
Well, first of all, this is important.
Mhm.
I could talk about this subject all day of uh, difficult family members and viewpoints and all of that stuff. But what about you? Do you have any traditions that maybe you do or
Turdunkins. Well, moving here, being my family being on the other side of the country, sometimes I've gone back to visit, but I like to keep the spirit of the season alive.
Mhm.
So I will decorate the house down
Yes, you will.
Santa boots.
Mhm.
And that's for me my favorite part is the decor and like, I have a big window and like everybody in my building will like walk by and they'll stop and be like, "Oh my God, I love your like tree or your lights or whatever, whatever." So that for me is like my own personal tradition that I've started for myself.
I have a new-ish favorite Christmas song, and that is called "Cozy Little Christmas" by Katy Perry, which is like my favorite
Yes.
video, my
Yes.
favorite song to perform. I love it so, so much. And there's just like a line or like a little phrase, which is, not something that she came up with on her own. It's just a thought that is like, there's a feeling that you just can't buy.
Mhm.
And that like really resonates with me because um, if you're around the people that matter the most to you, and you really don't, it really is not about buying, spending all your money to buy gifts. It really is not about saying we have to have this traditional meal. It's about really being around those people that really do
Mhm.
give a shit about you and
Mhm.
care about you and don't want you to be uncomfortable. And some people love like, giving out little stockings with candy in it to their friends because it's something that they spent time thinking about them doing. When somebody gives me something like that, like it just blows my mind. Like it blows my mind because I'm like, when someone thinks about you and gives you something, like regardless if it's from Tiffany or it just means the most. That's the tradition to me is extending your time and and I know that sounds preachy, like, oh well, Hallmark and play me a fucking a little Victrola or whatever, but I really mean that. The
Yeah.
fact that Flapjack has someone and that someone has Flapjack that really
Yeah.
cares.
I mean, that's like the biggest takeaway from that letter is that you have a partner
Yep.
and you can create your own memories and your own traditions. And sometimes you don't even realize that you're creating a new tradition until like you're 3 years in. You're like, oh my God, for the past 3 years, we've been going and marching on the Capitol. I cannot believe this.
Stop it.
That's a tradition.
I know what, I kinda do have a tradition that's not necessarily okay, I do have a tradition. So we go to visit family on Christmas Eve, and our family opens, like, our general, like, extended family opens gifts on Christmas Eve at midnight because
Mm.
our family is largely Catholic, and that's just, like, a thing. But before we leave to go, we always bring out the crock pot and we make this breakfast casserole that goes in the crock pot so that in the morning it's ready to eat.
Yes, we do. Ah, my
And we
mom
insist.
does a breakfast casserole too.
And we insist that we do it. So like at home, like
Is it
uh
fought over?
what's that?
Is it ever fought over the last piece?
Oh, always.
Mama, if
Always.
working in drag,
Uh-huh.
sometimes I would work the night before. Often I would work the night before Christmas
Yep.
in drag, and I would get up like, God forsaken hour, but I would get there. And if those little brats had eaten the last piece of that freaking casserole,
It was
I
over.
would have, you know what? You know what? Fuck Christmas.
Yeah. Not on Christmas Dawn.
Not on
Not
Christmas.
on
You ruined
Christmas.
Christmas.
So yeah, I mean, little traditions. I don't know that I have anything that big. I also usually go to Trader Joe's like a couple of days before Christmas to get all of the things that I'm going to want to have on Christmas Day
Mhm.
so I don't have to leave. I do have a
Yeah.
friend that her family's Christmas tradition is they go for some reason they always eat Jack in the Box Christmas morning. I mean, I don't know why they do it. They have full meals and all this stuff that they plan out, but for some reason when they wake up in the morning to open their presents, they all eat a Jack in the Box. I don't get it.
They want to shit themselves
I
halfway
guess.
through the gifts. Like I've been doing the Whole Foods. So Whole Foods will prepare you a whole Thanksgiving or Christmas meal
Okay.
that you just have to like heat up. Literally all the fixins and everything.
Okay.
And you just go pick it up the day before, you stick it in your fridge. The next morning you pop it on in the stove for like 20 minutes and it's done.
And it's done.
And it's fucking
I love
incredible.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
I actually always wanted to be the kind of person that like went to a restaurant on Thanksgiving.
I've done that. It's not the same.
Yeah, but like if you're like I mean, I wanna be rich enough to, like, rent the whole restaurant and I want it to be
Um,
glass all the way around.
oh,
Yeah, and,
yes.
like, maybe you look out into the ocean and you're like, "Oh, we're having our d" and you know what I mean? And,
I
like,
need
there's
you.
different types of cranberry, but I don't wanna eat it 'cause I don't like cranberry sauce.
You're a holiday person, and I need you once in your life to experience a Christmas in New York City.
I would love that. I've only been there one time during Christmas, but it was really quick. I was doing a gig like early in December, so it was just that. And Manila met me there and she knew that I was flying out early in the morning and she was like, "The one thing I have to take you to is Rockefeller Center
Mhm.
and I have to take you to have a real piece of New York cheesecake." So she took me to
Yeah.
Junior's and the cheesecake was like that tall. And she's like, "I'm just gonna you have to at least have this before you leave. I don't know when you're coming back, but those 2 things are gonna matter to you."
Yeah.
And she couldn't have been more right. And I remember we walked down like the boulevard and it was like
The decorations
snow.
in the windows at
Oh, oh
Macy's,
my
the Macy's
God. Are you
windows.
kidding me?
It's so magical. I remember before I used to go to like the Mariah Carey would do her like residency, her Christmas
Uh-huh.
show. In fucking incredible.
Wow.
Like to me, that's Christmas.
Right.
Oh jeez.
These letters.
Oh
I tell
jeez.
you what.
Is it in a cornucopia?
It's in Here we go. Falling leaves, bonfires, cozy sweaters, hay rides, pumpkins, friends, family, blessings.
Do you ever see like a dish towel with a saying on it and feel compelled to put that on Instagram?
No, but there was something I wanted. Oh, during Halloween, it was a big thing. I guess like TJ Maxx had like something like this,
Mhm.
and it's like said like I put a spell on you written out, but it's the way the letters were done. It said I puta spell on you. All right, and I wanted it. I wanted it.
I love that.
Um, let's see. Here we go. This is a letter from Alicia, very Alicia. Dear Delta, what do you need to do for the great actor Annie Potts to appear as a guest on Very Delta? I have I have to have this happen as my health depends on it. Love, Very Alicia. You know what, Alicia? I would do anything for that. I am a major Annie Potts fan. I can recite lines from films. I think when I very first fell in love with Annie Potts was when she played a character named Iona on Pretty in the movie Pretty in Pink,
Oh
which is
yes. Yes.
I argue that it's my favorite movie because there are other movies that I love, which also Annie Potts happens to be in Ghostbusters, which is another one of my favorite movies. But I Annie
Mhm.
Potts,
A
if Annie
legend.
Potts could be on this show, I would do anything. I would.
Which character would you want her to be though?
Oh well, I mean, I would want her. I mean, I would take her as herself, of course. But if I like in a fantasy world, we would be here dancing together, and I would be dressed as Andy Walsh, and
Mhm.
she would be in the pink prom dress with the big fuzzy slippers and the beehive wig. I'll make the beehive wig. I'll make the beehive wig. I'll have the dress made. I will have the. We will have the dress
I
made.
remember your birthday party was
My birthday
yeah,
party was pretty in pink.
yeah, I
Yep.
remember that.
Yep. And it was a blast. And so yeah, we need Annie Potts to be
Annie
here. This is
Potts.
like my favorite.
Like she was in so many things that I absolutely love, like designing women. Jesus,
That whole
Mary and
show in
Joseph.
general, like that but her specific character was just like
Yes.
broke so many stereotypes
'Cause she
and
was like, was she supposed to be the tomboy or
she was just like
like
just a career woman, but yeah, very like just a loving mom who was having a hard time with like, her kids were growing up and she was shouldering all of these responsibilities. I remember an
yeah.
episode where she was talking about subliminal messages and
Mhm.
how you can send subliminal messages. And her daughter, she was afraid her daughter was interested in having sex with this boy.
Mhm.
So she would be like, all right, I'll see you later. Don't have sex. And like everything was like, oh my gosh, you look great in that dress. Don't have sex. And so she would do it over and over and over. And it was like, that wasn't even the case, but like, she was a mom. It was the 80s. Like we
Yeah.
were going right into the
And
90s.
that she was like one of the only characters that really stayed the whole
Right.
run,
Right.
you know? That was oh god, I loved that. And of course Ghostbusters, so funny.
Yeah, I loved her character of Iona. Like she was like, She was like had the spiky hair.
Yes.
I actually wonder about that hair, like how they did that because it was really far out.
I mean, you could write that down for next Halloween
Yeah.
season costume. That's
Let's have a
another.
costume party and be like different Annie Pots. We can be different characters.
Can I just come in a crock pot?
Yes.
As dressed as
Yes.
little orphan Annie?
In the crock pot.
Little orphan Annie in a crock pot.
I don't know why you wouldn't. In fact, we might make that for her. Yeah, we might all be in a crock pot. We can make breakfast crock pot casserole with Annie Pots. I don't know why we haven't done that.
I know why.
We just thought of it.
lazy.
We're lazy. We're lazy.
Which
If
love.
I tell you what, if Annie Potts was able to be here, I would put on a pair of tights, a pair of fishnets, and a pair of pumps instead of just sitting here in Skechers and track pants underneath this table. Can you imagine?
What would you want to ask her?
I would want to ask
Let's
her.
say, okay, let's role play.
Okay.
I'm Annie Potts.
Hi, Annie Potts.
Hi, Delta.
I would want to know what it was like being playing your character on Designing Women, which is about different women developing and in the 80s as far as like all of the political stuff that's happening. How were you handling that outside of the set as a real person, not that character?
I have one funny story about bodies. So one time, this is when I was
You
touring.
don't say.
I was on tour with Tracy Mattel, and it was very early morning in an airport. I know you know this, set the scene. You know
Okay.
the scene. Very early morning, and I have all of her luggage, and I, as the assistant, I go up and I put everything through the belt and I give it to the people. And so one of the bags was over by like 15 pounds, and we were just trying to figure it out. And like Trixie comes up and she's like, "What's going on?" And the person behind the counter says, "Oh, he's 15 pounds over." And she looks dead at the girl and says, "He has a different body type."
And did the person even get it?
They did not laugh. We were on the
my God.
floor dying laughing.
Fuck.
And to me, I think if you can like make someone at TSA laugh, you've got the golden touch. But we did not have it.
You
that
did
day.
not have the golden touch.
No.
They don't laugh. They really don't.
Fucking
They
laugh.
really don't.
Do you have pre-check?
I don't. And you know why I don't? I don't fly enough.
Yeah, same.
I wish I did fly more. I love all of the amenity of first class. I will pay seriously, but girl, I just don't work I don't work anywhere that much, really.
This is a call to action, because this woman needs to be in this desk in every city in this country. This needs to be taken on the world. This, like your live that I saw the other day, incredible. This should go everywhere.
Thanks.
I see people that do this that are like horrible. So there's no reason why,
Thank you.
Yeah.
But that's not going to help.
You know what would help?
We're going to be right here.
Call in today.
Right.
You know
what would help is if you sent a message to Annie Potts. If you sent a message to Annie Potts on Instagram or wherever Annie Potts is, her email address, and let her know that this show really needs to be called Very Annie. And we need an episode of Very Annie right here. We will have anything that you need available to you, except for a budget. But other than that, we will have plenty of sparkling water, still water. We have candy bars.
full size.
Full-size candy bars. And we have people that are grateful. And we also have a skeleton crew of just really nice people. So anyway, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
My beautiful friend Fena Barbitall here at Very Delta, Very Fena, Very Annie. Thank you all for listening to Very Delta. You can now search for Very Delta on your podcast apps. We come out every Monday. And you can find us here on the Mom Podcast YouTube channel. And also a special thank you to everyone watching the talk show on YouTube. Also, you know what's Very Delta? Subscribing to Mom Podcast so you don't miss an episode. You can send questions about sparkling water, still lifes in water, hydrotherapy, anything you want. You can send those questions to readmedelta@gmail.com. You can also follow me on Instagram. And of course, we now have dedicated socials for the show if you follow at Very Delta on Instagram and TikTok for clips and all kinds of different updates. Join me next week right here for another episode. And until then, keep things very Delta. To listen to Very Delta one day early and ad-free, sign up for Mom Plus at mompodcasts.plus. Very Delta is produced by Moguls of Media, aka Mom. Hosted by Delta Work and produced by Mark Jacobs. Engineered by Margot Padilla and editing by Doug Robertson. Executive produced by Willem Belli, Alaska Thunderfuck, Big Dipper, and Joe Cilio.